And so I do want to tell you a story about why I think this conference is really important. So there was this guy standing under a light, walking back, looking forth under this street light, and a person came by and said, "What are you doing?" And the guy said, "I lost my keys." And the guy said, "Well, I'll help you look. Where do you think you dropped them?" And he said, "Well, over there in the darkness on the grass." And he said, "Well, why are you looking under the light?" And he said, "Well, because the light's better here." And that's how research works. In our little silos, we look where the data has taken us before because we look back to the past. And so if we don't get other people from other silos with us, that's exactly why when Tom told Danielle, "You've known this for 20 years, but I didn't know it." Danielle has so improved my prevention programs by what I've learned from her and her research that I can't tell you, the rest of the world needs to catch up with it. And the more researchers and people that we get shining lights on their areas of expertise, that's the only way we're going to actually enhance those graphs. And by the way, that was beautiful about showing how we've affected every illness but substance use. That was beautiful graphs that you had, Brian. So we really need lots of ideas. And what we really need is exactly what Dr. Schur said. Who was he the one, or was it Jason, who said we need to give it all away so we can generate more ideas. And so here's my quote that I want you to remember, and I don't want you to be discouraged because this is a tough issue. Every complex problem has a simple solution, and it's usually wrong, right? It's going to be more than one answer, and everybody has a little bit to add to the puzzle. So I promised you yesterday that I wanted to know who isn't here. I want to know what discipline, what area has not been represented this year. And in fact, I think that obesity thing that you mentioned should definitely be something we touch on for next year. What have we not mentioned this year that we need to bring researchers in for next year? If I don't get to you, but I do want you to yell it out, at least a couple of you, who should we have at the conference next year? Does anybody want to raise their hand and yell it out? What? More on medication-assisted recovery? What do you got? Treatment for practitioners who are experiencing addiction. Interesting. Where's Deborah? Deborah's not here, but she said veterans and in recovery. Over here first, there in the... I agree with that. Policymakers, what do you think? LGBTQ issues? Families and friends? High school counselors, the younger we go, the better. So, we haven't had, you can't have everybody at every conference, but I do think Tom thinks really hard about this and we read all the evals. I would have put lawyers up there because policy is what I think is the most important, and we need the big system look at this, we got some nodding of people who are smarter than me, that's pretty cool. Journalists, because we're not going to change the world and in fact, investigative journalists is what I would like to have, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I do think there are people here from the probation system or from criminal justice system, but we haven't had them really present, and I do think that Tom has done a really great job of taking our RAMs in recovery into the criminal justice, the Richmond City Justice Center. We maybe should talk about that partnership. Marketing professionals, and actually youth themselves. I don't know if you've ever seen this picture, but one thing I have learned in 30 years is there should be nothing about us without us. So whichever group that we're talking about, we need to make sure that we listen to them. And this is a little pet peeve. What do you guys know about Jewel? Not a lot? Well, I'll tell you, I didn't know a lot about it till about a year ago, and this is the next thing. So Juul's a pod-type vape that uses nicotine salts. Every one of these cartridges is worth a pack of cigarettes. 4 of them will cost you about $17. They look like a jump drive. This is from Juul University. If you look at the amount of money this kid is spending, and he is obviously nicotine addicted already, all right? Now, I thought about this because I didn't know about Juul University except for I work with a student intern who was like, "Linda, you should see this Juul University. There's all these videos. When this little part dies, it's very sad because this is the part that recharges. And so they build little wooden boats and put them on the boat and set it on fire and send it off to Valhalla, right? Like, they do all these funny videos on social media, and the company says it targets old people to quit smoking, but every time I talk to somebody who's 35 or 45 or trying to quit, do they even know what Juul is? Nobody who's 35 has any clue what Juul is, but every 15-year-old does. And if I have a 21-year-old college student who knows what Juul is, it's because they have a 15-year-old brother who's using it. So the question becomes, and really, who started Juul University? So I think it was money that was paid by that corporation to start the ball rolling and let it spread at the 14 or 15-year-old level. And every drug, including THC or other drugs that are evolved, are going to use the same format. They're going to ripple out through the young population that takes risks. They're going to have the cover of social media, and that's where all of our epidemics are going to start, is using that. And you can get it delivered to your door. And if you're somebody who looks at the drug is the dose, the purple line is the spike that you get from cigarettes. The pink line is the spike that you get from Juuls. Now, as a harm reductionist, this might be the best possible vape to help people quit, but they're not marketing that way and they're not using it that way. And so, I don't know. And so, I don't know about you guys, but when my husband disappears into the bathroom with his cell phone, I know it's going to be a long time, especially if there's Wi-Fi. But if he disappeared in and he actually had a Juul, it would be like infinity, right? Now, this came off of Juul University, and this morning I went to look for more funny stuff for you, but this has been taken down now. Oh, isn't that interesting? Because it's finally been in the news. And so no more funny stuff for you guys from Juul University. But anyway, and so Rachel taught me this the other day. Neurons that fire together, wire together, which I love that soundbite. And here's my concern. Juul is very, very addictive, has the high nicotine spike. One of the reasons why vapes aren't catching us, because students can't fit them in their cell pocket and use their cell phone and all that, but these are little, you can put them, you can hold your cell phone. They're going to get linked to cell phones, which are also addictive, and nicotine is so linked to every other molecule, it's only going to make our jobs of helping people quit other molecules harder. And so I really want to go down and talk to the brand center people who design social media platforms, because if they can be used to disseminate drugs, they can be used to disseminate other things, and we need people watching the early alert stuff. So, and then next year on my vote is that we bring in Nina Schroeder to talk about screen addiction and Facebook addiction, because that's the next addiction, and then it's all going to get merged together. So anyway, and then this is my retirement job or my fantasy. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. For 30 years, I have been having to teach college freshmen what a drink is and what's in a red Solo cup, and I cannot do it one more time. I cannot do it one more time. And I feel like this. I'm like, WTF, like, why do we just accept that we cannot make this package any safer? Like, Jason, who I adore, Jason Kilmer, and he did that great job of showing you what a drink was, right? How long did that take? How many drinks did he go over? Why should he have to do that at a conference? The difference between, malt liquor, beer, it should all be labeled. And if you're a public health person, which we really do need, I thought Gail was awesome, and we need more public health people talking about the big approach, and several of our speakers have made the point that this many people die every year from alcohol, and you guys know that. We're preaching to the choir, but we're missing it at the general level, and yet we still do not package things. In a public health view, if you wanted to decrease malaria, you would drain the swamps. Heck, we even make mosquitoes infertile. And then you try to get the host to put on mosquito repellent. Of these three pieces of the triangle, which is hardest to train? Right there. That's the hardest, but that's all we do with molecules is tell people not to do something. So with the car, the way we change things is we've done everything we can to the agent the car. We have put in airbags and anti-lock brakes. We've done everything we can. But when it comes to alcohol, nothing has been done to that package, period, ever. In fact, all of the smart alcohol goes to England and Australia, and then they have to make it stupid to sell in America. So if you go to England and you pick up Jack Daniels, which is an American product, it will tell you how many servings per container. You pick up Coors Light, it'll tell you that's a drink and a half, not a beer. You go to Australia, it'll even tell you how many carbs, so if you're a diabetic. All of these products are sold in America, but they have to be stupid to be sold here. That is buried somewhere in our laws and policy, and it needs to change. My real fantasy is that every liquor bottle in America would have a unit dose measuring cup. So if you picked up Fireball, you would have a bigger measuring cup than if you picked up 151 rum, which would have a little thimble full, right? Now, it's not going to change everything, but it would change a lot. Have any of you read the book Prescription for a Healthy America? The guy makes the point, if you look at the bell curve, if you really want to change health in a population, you could focus on the small percent that are in recovery. You could focus on trying to keep the healthy people healthy. But if you shift the whole curve just a little bit, you capture way more than if you just focus on a part. And so I think if we could just change policy, which is not going to be easy, but I've given myself 3 years to go bug lawyers and law classes at U of R and other people. I don't know, we got to do something. I can't stand it. So I don't know. This is going to be the second part. I don't know what I'm going to be after this, probably a little out of my mind. But, and I'll end with this story. Do you guys know about Ubuntu? So there's this story about an anthropologist who was in Africa and was dealing with a group of children, and he had like this bag of candy, and he thought, oh, I've got some time to kill, we're going to play a game. So he put the candy out under a tree, and he had a little start line for all little kids, and he said, if you run to the tree, the first person over there gets to have the candy. And all the kids grabbed hands, ran together, picked up the bag, and had a good time. And he asked them why they did it, and one girl said, how can one of us be happy if all the others are sad? And Ubuntu sort of means, I am because we are. And so I guess what we're trying to say is, how can one of us be healthy if the others are not? And substance use disorder has not been addressed, and our culture will not be maximized until we take care of the health of all. Those in early prevention, at risk, and those in treatment. So here's my challenge to you. It's been kind of a lot of data dumped on you. Just go home, meditate, absorb it, and do the next right thing. And let us know what the next right thing is for the next conference. So thanks to everyone who came, and especially you guys who stuck around to the end.